This week we're looking at the prologue to the three parables of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son who comes back, the prodigal son. Let's dive right in and take a look at Luke chapter 15, verse 1. This is my translation. And all the tax collectors and sinners were drawing near to hear him. Let's break it down piece by piece. We'll look at some grammar first. Esan de auto engizontes. So engizontes is a participle, an imperfect participle of engizo, I draw near. So here we have esan, the third person plural form of me. They were, de auto, but they were drawing near, auto in the dative case, to him. They were drawing near to him. So it's an imperfect periphrastic, that imperfect participle with a form of me, and we treat it not like a participle but like a regular verb, and we get, and they were drawing near to him. The next part tells us who was drawing near to him. Pantes toi telonai kai hoi hamartoloi. All the tax collectors and sinners. One of my favorite t-shirts that I ever saw said, "Surely not everybody was kung fu fighting," right? From that old song from the 70s. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Really? Everybody? That seems excessive or unlikely, right? So what do we have here? Who's drawing near to Jesus to hear him? We're told all the tax collectors and sinners. That's a vast number of people, isn't it? So that's probably hyperbole. That's probably being used to tell us that many, a great many, were drawing near. Why the division? Why tax collectors and sinners? It's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Tax collecting was considered to have sort of a special distinction as sinfulness in the culture. In all cultures, if we go back in the ancient world, we see that the type of tax collector in question, which was known as a tax farmer, they did a thing called tax farming in the ancient world, were considered to be sort of very low people. You were a traitor to your own, working for the government, usually an oppressive government, to come and extract funds from your own people on behalf of the oppressor. So this was not just a religious sin, but also sort of a civil sin. You've sided against your own people with the enemy. So we have these two classes that we're told, the tax collectors and all the rest of the sinners. Right. On Wednesday, for the word of the week, we're going to do a deep dive into the word tax collector. So make sure you don't miss that on Wednesday to really dig into what tax farming was and why this was such a big deal. So here we have the general heading of sinners and the special heading, the subset of sinners, the tax collectors, who are coming in great numbers to do what? We're told at the end, akuein autu, to hear him. So Jesus has such a reputation that the people who are sort of moderately religious at best, the people who are not meticulously religious, are drawn to him to hear what he has to say. And then we move on to verse 2, still my translation. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling to each other, saying, "This man receives or welcomes sinners and even eats with them." Let's take a look at what they were saying to each other. Hutos hamartolus prosdeketai kai sunesthei autois. Hutos, this man, hamartolus, sinners, plural, pros dekotai, welcomes. Pros, to or toward. Dekotai, receives. He receives toward himself these people. He is open to receiving these kind of people. And if that wasn't bad enough, we're told, kai sunesthei autois, and he even eats with them. So it's one thing if you're a rabbi to let them come near to you to hear so you can come tell them what they're doing wrong in their lives. It's a completely different thing to eat with them. From the earliest texts of the Old Testament all the way through the New Testament, in this time and place, eating with someone is a sign that you are at peace with them, that you're not in conflict with them. When you share a meal, you're making a big statement, a hospitality statement. You are welcome here with me. So it's one thing to say, you can approach me and hear what I have to say. Come here so I can tell you how messed up your life is. It's a completely different thing to say, come here to listen, but also come here to be at peace with me, to be reconciled, to experience atonement. Completely different thing, right? So let's go back to our Pharisees and scribes and their grumbling and look at the dynamic of what's happening. Tax collectors and sinners are coming to Jesus to hear him. Not only are they coming, but he is welcoming them and is eating with them, and they can't believe what they're seeing. They are like gym rats who live in the weight room. All they do is focus on their fitness. They're constantly training. And then they see a personal trainer who is training fat people in the weight room. So there are fat people coming to the gym. They're not in shape. They don't practice the same practice as the gym rats. But here they are at the gym, and this personal trainer is welcoming them into the gym and training them. And he isn't doing it begrudgingly. He isn't shaming them. He isn't mocking them. He's welcoming them, and he's even letting them have some of his protein shake. Instead of the gym rats being glad that unhealthy people are striving to get healthy, they're criticizing the personal trainer who is welcoming them and trying to help them get themselves in order. Pretty wild stuff, isn't it? So let's go from the personal trainer to the rabbi. They found a rabbi that they can connect with. They found a rabbi who speaks to them, and not in a shaming way, but in a challenging way and in a hopeful way. And he doesn't reject them and keep them at the margins. He brings them in and even eats with them. And instead of celebrating the return of the unhealthy, of the marginally religious, instead of being glad to see that they're making movements toward the kingdom, the Pharisees and the scribes can only criticize the rabbi. He's welcoming them, and he's even eating with them. Terrible. So the cycle of the lost sheep and the lost coin and the prodigal son, the son who was lost and is now found, are a direct response to what these guys are grumbling about and their reaction to what they see happening with Jesus. How do we know? Because look at verse 3. And he spoke to them this parable, saying, and then he launches into the cycle of three parables. The lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son who gets found, who returns home. So on Wednesday, we're going to take a look at the word tax collector in depth to better flesh out this concept and to better put this context in order for the parables. And then on Sunday, we'll take a look at the lost sheep. I hope this was good for you. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. There's somewhere on YouTube, there's like a notification bell that if you hit that little icon, it will let you know when there's a new Koine Corner or Word of the Week that comes up, and you'll be told, hey, guess what? There's new content available for you. Hope you'll do that. It helps the channel, it helps me, and it makes it easier to keep producing content. Until we see each other again, Karis Kairene Humin, grace and peace to you.